Hello and welcome to the Spiritual Solopreneur Podcast. Today, my guest is Kristi Sullivan. Kristi is a human design and self-care expert, speaker, and author of the best-selling Amazon book, Stop Overworking and Start Overflowing: 25 Ways to Transform Your Life Using Human Design. Kristi is passionate about helping spiritually minded women navigate their unique energetic blueprint and live a life of authenticity and fulfillment. Hi, Kristi.
Hi there, Bev. Thanks so much for having me.
Welcome. I'm very excited to have you here. Um, I know you've done a reading for me, so we'll kind of work that into the conversation. But I'm excited about that. Um, but before we do any of that, can I just like to see if you can let us know kind of what human design is and why is it important to understand what it is and what it can do for us.
Thanks. And yes, let's go down the rabbit hole, we call it. Human design may be fairly new to some of your listeners, and that's because it hasn't been around for a long time, but it is based on some very ancient wisdom and traditions, including astrology, the chakra system, Kabbalah, I Ching, and quantum physics. And really, it's the blend of these older systems that came about in the 80s to help each of us understand what our unique energy blueprint is. I call it our unique wiring or formula of energy that is operating behind the scenes. What happens when we understand what that is, it's really quite interesting because like an astrology chart or reading, you start to really get to know a deeper part of yourself. It's more than what you would find in a personality assessment, which is based on a set of questions, and how you answer those questions is based on how your mind is conditioned. But in human design, it's really based on your birth information and the magical sort of recipe that creates who you are. And I call it sort of the car that you're driving on this path of life. And when you understand what that energy is, you can lean more into it, rely on it, optimize it. It's kind of like creating a car that works really well and knowing what gas to give it when it needs to be plugged in and recharged or tuned up.
Mhm.
And that really is really helpful for us in this day and age, especially to help us function even better in wellness, in our minds, in our decisions, in our business, in our relationships, and life in general.
Right. So do you feel that this energetic blueprint, I mean, it's based on birth information, so it goes right back to there. Is it, when there is a school of thought that says, okay, pre-birth, we make all these decisions about where we're going to be born, when we're going to be born, who's going to be mom, who's going to be, get together with the soul family and decide who's going to be
Yeah.
who this time, and and that sort of thing. Is this energetic piece determined pre-birth, do you think?
Well, I think that it certainly can go in line with that belief. And when you learn your human design, it's really important to see what resonates. This isn't meant to be a label or a box. And so if you and are of the mindset and believe that, your soul did have a journey and a path. And by the way, the human design system is based and informed by your birth day as well as the position of planets 3 months prior to your birth date. So there's a little bit of that birth also information. But if you think that the soul has a path and a mission in life, then certainly that human design and many things we are still exploring in the planets and such, but that human design could certainly be in line with this was sort of your predestined way of your energy operating in this human skin and skin suit that we have. So that energy is what's behind the scenes. It doesn't dictate your life choices or how you look or how you speak, what food you decide to eat, but it can give you certain hints. And like I say, looking at operating guide for how your energy is wired beneath all of those external ways of being and even internal choices that we make.
Hmm. And is it similar to an astrological reading where, what type of information can you get? Is it where your strengths may be, or where your proclivities may be, or something like that?
So I think of astrology, and I'm not an expert in astrology, but I hear how, astrology has different houses and it can give you information about your finances and your relationships and sort of your life path and
Yeah.
how that unfolds. And my analogy is this is the car that you're driving. Human design is how your who you are on that path, or how, again, your energy exists on that path. So it can be really informative to let you know, well, what are the natural ways for you to maybe do work, or what's really the way that you process emotions. So you can use an astrology reading and a human design reading in different ways, but to complement each other. And there's also a related uh, study called Gene Keys, which is another layer of looking at another lens of looking at human design, just like astrology is as well.
Interesting. So it's not so much the path that you're going to be on, but the way in which you might uh, go, the way in which you might travel it.
Travel and go about, like you're about to say, yes, go about like your natural way of sort of operating on a day-to-day basis.
So interesting. And so it takes a whole bunch of very ancient um, modalities, so to speak, puts them together, but and yet this only kind of came to fruition in the 1980s.
Yeah, so the ancient systems have been around for a long time, but it really wasn't until the 80s where someone had a download and brought the systems together and sort of used the multi-layer effect to create and interpret, I guess maybe is a better word, the design that we each uniquely have. And there's 3 billion combinations. So this is a really a special way of looking at your uniqueness.
3 billion. Okay.
3 billion, if not more.
Well, it might as well be infinite, I guess, at that point, because it
I
would
haven't
take you a
seen real
lifetime to go through them all.
Yeah, I have not seen two designs really ever the same except for twins. And even when you have two designs that are close or like twins similar, there's still very different ways that they're expressed, and so it's really a uniqueness. It's really amazing.
Interesting. That is fascinating. So, what kind of information do you get? I mean, when you say you read the design, what are you looking at?
Yeah, there's a lot to look at. And when you do go online or on my website to pull up a free chart, you will find a lot of shapes and numbers and lines, and even like the symbols of the planets. Where we usually start in a reading, and if you're investigating this on your own, the best place to start is to look at what's your energy type. And this is sort of the starting point or outer layer of peeling back this big onion. And so majority of people are an energy type, for example, called the generator type. And you're that type, as am I.
I
And
am. I'm a
it
generator.
gives
I
us
mean, I'm thrilled.
yeah, and well, and every type has a certain role and gifts and ways that they are here to help the other types as well. It's like an integrated ecosystem that's really lovely. And the generator types, we're really here to be the busy, productive workers who help build things and get things to evolve. And when innovations are happening, we're behind the scenes in the projects and the tasks, and that's really what our energy is built for. It's to create and build and generate. And it's because, in part, we have a lot of energy operating behind the scenes. If we're doing the right kind of work, we feel more energized. If it's not the right kind of work, we feel drained. But when we're doing the right kind of work, we're feeling healthy and rested. We really have quite a bit of energy throughout the day to use up on that productivity without burning out. I should also
Depending
add.
on what we're working on.
Definitely on what we're working on very much matters. But let me just also share the 30% of the population that are not generators. It's not that they can't work hard, build things, be creative, and generate, but they have to do it really mindfully. Their energy is more, like I say, the electric car. They have to plug in throughout the day and recharge themselves. When someone who is either, we call these types projector, manifestor, or reflector types, they usually say to me, "Oh, thank you, that I get permission to take a rest or to take a midday nap." And generators might need that too, especially if we're overworking. But it's an example of really, how we are, again, operating in different ways. And we're not all meant to really follow all the same formula of how to build our business or how to operate day to day. So that's a really good starting point is the energy type.
Gotcha. And so you said that 30% aren't generators. So most people are generators then?
Correct. Yeah, most are
Oh,
70% of the population.
wow, how interesting. That seems inordinately biased to the creators. I mean, here's all the people building and creating. Okay, for who? For only 30%. The other
Well,
30,
we're all end users.
I guess we are.
Um, Really, the other types, if you were to look at sort of the evolution of things, and really the percentages I gave are a percentage, a snapshot in society in modern day, right? But if you look back, um, hundreds of years ago, there were mainly the generate the I'm sorry, manifestor type that is here to really initiate and kind of launch things. They were perhaps the kings and the warriors that were, taking on and exploring new places, finding that. And then the generator types, they needed to be the ones who like built the houses or did the day-to-day things to keep the village operating. I'm kind of
Yeah,
making up
making
that
stuff up.
story. But then the projector types, which are a separate energy type, are the ones who are here to share their wisdom and insight and let us know that, wow, maybe things could be tweaked and how things are managed, how things are built. So they give us that wise information. So each role is really helpful in not just building, but really sustaining and evolving, our everyday things and how we're evolving, I think, as a collective.
Gotcha. So tell me how you got interested in all of this. Were you ever doing something else?
I think I've always been an explorer of personal development and just learning more about myself. I used to love personality or have still learned a lot in personality assessments. But when I found human design, there was just something about it. I was really drawn to this idea that we're not all built the same and we're not even meant to be categorized, but really to use learning about our design as a way to create our own formula that really can help us on a day-to-day basis. So I was in a 9 to 5 job working business on the side, trying to make things work, so to speak. And when I discovered I was a generator, and one of the things about a generator is that we respond really well if we're approached with opportunities or something comes across, our day and we respond to it and it's the right thing to respond to. We really are in a much more easy flow than trying to make something happen. And when I was trying to make that side business hustle really successful, it wasn't really working very easily. And when I discovered human design, it helped to answer a lot of questions and to help me feel more at ease and to understand how I could create a more successful business, how I could have a better relationship by not necessarily forcing or initiating things, but really responding to things, because that's my generator energy. So that's how human design came to me 7 years ago, was learning about it and just really like being in awe. And I've done a lot of readings where people are very much kind of mind blown, like, wow, they know so much more about themselves when they understand their human design.
Exactly. So what do people come to you typically for? It's not that they're looking for their purpose in life, or is
Yeah,
it?
I think when usually I speak with people and some are just learning about human design, some may be confused and not sure like where to start or what their chart means. I really enjoy sort of that beginning stage to help people understand some of the basic ways of what is in their design and how to use it on a day-to-day basis. So most times I'm working with people who are already on that spiritual personal development journey and are looking to know themselves at a deeper level and are starting to ask the questions, well, why do I do this? What's been conditioned? What's been programmed? But what's really a gift in my life in the way that my energy is? And maybe does that help me learn more about my purpose? So sometimes they have the big questions. Sometimes it's just that, what can I do on a day to day basis so I'm not overwhelmed, frustrated, burned out? And on that hamster wheel, I want to really be just me and authentic. And so that's been one of the things I think that has really helped people who come to me, is to learn how to be more of who they are. And sometimes that really helps with a lot of the things that we're facing in this day and age, where we're not sure what are the choices to make. And when we get to know ourselves, we even get to know how to make better decisions. And
Right.
it's a beautiful thing in human design.
So it's kind of, what is it about me that is stopping me from having a more smooth flow in my day, or stopping me from really enjoying this work or something like that. It's kind of, it gives you an idea of what's in you, that's causing some of the whatever whatever you're not quite happy with.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the ways we look at it in human design is this idea of conditioning. What are the messages and ways that we were taught to be growing up, or from schooling, from the environment, even from ancestral lineage? Like, what has
Yeah.
been passed down? And for example, in your chart, I'll go back to that. It's natural in your design that you are very open in your emotional center in the way that you're experiencing the emotions, but it's what we call an open center. And about 50% of the population have this, where you're taking on others' emotions. You're really sensing what other people are feeling. But at an early age, we're not taught that. So we tend to, and I'm the same way with this open center, we tend to um, sometimes try to fix or please other people in how they're feeling.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
sometimes we're even not sure, like, where did that emotion come from? And so we get kind of sidetracked because we're trying to deal with other people's emotions rather than letting them own their own emotion. And we're gathering in that emotion in our design. And so it's really important then we understand, oh, that's not our emotion to deal with. Can be really helpful when you understand that.
Exactly. And you mentioned conditioning and ancestral influences. Does this go back to past lives as well?
Well, not really technically, because it's not that the journey, if you follow or know much about past lives or reincarnation, that I believe that there's still themes and experiences that might carry over. But the human design blueprint you have is really in this lifetime, because it's like the operating guide for this lifetime, and
Yeah.
maybe we get different model cars in different lifetimes.
Yeah.
So this is really who you are, but the conditioning can definitely be impacted from maybe past lives. And so also as I work with clients and give them opportunities to know more of who they are, they also understand more of their conditioning. And then we do work to clear some of that, because that's really sometimes knowing how your energy wants to operate, but also what's blocking you, and addressing those blocks can then help, again, more of that ease and flow in decision making and building businesses and having great relationships. So it's definitely part of the the container of learning who you are and understanding the human design and also the conditioning.
So interesting. Um, so, um, your book is 25 Ways to Transform Your Life with Human Design. What are a couple of examples from from your book?
Well, the book is a collaboration, an anthology with 25 individual authors who I
Gotcha.
brought together.
Okay.
Each one wrote a chapter on how they discovered human design and what changed for them, or what did they discover, and then how others who are reading the book, what they might be able to do if they're learning about human design, if they're new, or we talk about energy and self-care and different tools and tips. So each chapter is a different author, and there are, projectors in there and generators and manifestors. And so it's really interesting to get like 25 different stories, because usually you can find one or two, if not more, that resonate with maybe your career, maybe the way that you're experiencing life. And so there's many different tools, and most of them around learning your design, managing your energy or that conditioning, and really exploring more of who you are.
Mhm. And do you work with, you mentioned businesses. You work with people to get businesses started and or up and running and or make them more successful?
Yeah, usually I work with people who do have a business or are entrepreneurs, and something though isn't completely um, maybe going the way that they want. And when they learn about human design, it's like that missing puzzle piece. It's it then helps them understand what they need in their business strategy to align to the energy of who they are. And even businesses have their own its own human design or blueprint, even if it's not a human.
Right.
But that business, also knowing when that business was birthed, and the energy of the business can also help. Um, so it's not necessarily to start a business, but if you're looking to create a business in alignment with your energy, then the human design reading and tool could really be beneficial.
That's awesome. I guess when you start a business, if you don't start it in a certain frame of mind, it's going to carry through, right?
Yes. Yeah, and even sometimes, I know in astrology, like, you can look up the date of, starting a business. It might be an auspicious date. I know a friend is launching a new book, and I mentioned, "Have you thought about the day that you're gonna be launching it?" So those kind of things you could also look at through the lens of human design, like you said, to be sure that you're starting it in a right frame of mind and energy.
Exactly. So, what do you have any advice for new entrepreneurs, especially spiritual entrepreneurs? Just starting out, it can be kind of scary going out there with your gifts.
Yes, and I think what we're seeing as we evolve in our energy and our spirituality here is that these gifts that uh, you're presenting in your business are really, really important and needed in this day and age. I think if it seems scary, then like understanding your human design could help you and your business to feel less scary. Um, you can look at things like How are you marketing yourself? How are you being seen? Maybe you're a projector who really has something important to say, but for some reason, the visibility isn't there. So your human design reading can really help with that. Um, but each of us are unique and we have unique gifts. And it's really much more important now than ever for us to come out and to serve the world and for us to be available for people who need that guidance, who need like-minded or like-hearted communities of people who can talk about what's going on and share ways that we can all evolve, that we can all be more heart-centered, more at peace. And so I think the advice is to share those gifts, know more of who you are, and really step into that limelight and shine your light.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of the spiritual solopreneurs tend to be a little bit more on the introverted side as well. So just I could see just knowing a little bit more about why that is, might be able to turn a little bit of it around if you want to. You know?
That's a great point because there are things in your design like something we call the hermit profile. The hermit profile is where taking downtime, taking some time alone is really important for the energy, and I would even say for your business. We all know that if we are burned out, no matter what type we are, and we're not doing things in a way that's more um, centered in our guidance and our intuition rather than the busyness of the mind, slowing down and doing that, and not sometimes always being outward facing but really looking inward in that kind of sense of being introverted, and also just really doing your self-care and making sure that your energy is, like we said, that car is functioning because you're doing the work or the activities that are really nourishing to you and that are helping you uh, receive some of that balance rather than just stepping into the workflow and thinking, if you're a business owner and introverted, you do really need downtime, you do really need some breaks throughout the day.
Right? Not to force yourself
Yeah.
to to do that video if you just cannot do it. Exactly. I do want to ask you your opinion of we were talking about community and the like-hearted people coming together more so I think now than ever before. Do you have an opinion on the ascension the Earth ascension that we're going through, or the 3D to 5D? Is this something that you've run across, or that you would say in your field? Yes, I think something along that line is happening.
I think something is happening. I'm not always sure I'm the expert on what that is. I do like to tune in to different guides and mentors who are helping to share tips and tools for like this ascension that is happening in some form, right?
Yeah.
And we can look at it over thousands of years. There's always been this evolution. And maybe we're just feeling it in this time because so much, it's like maybe when, Columbus discovered, that there was something across the ocean. It's that kind of like discovery of things that we just didn't know were there perhaps, or that are out there in the galaxy. And I think that there is a lot, and that there are communities or people who want to explore and wonder, ask the big questions. This is a time, my mentor would say, that you can really create the narrative for what you feel is right for you. Where are you heading? Sometimes it's that ascension of just our own souls and our own mission in life, because that's playing into the bigger, I think, mission of the world and of what we're here for and why we're here. So I definitely think that there's something, and I think as you explore being a spiritual, whether entrepreneur or just spiritually minded, I think when we open up to there's possibilities, and even our ascension in our spirit of being more heart-centered or being more compassionate. Those are all also important pieces for evolution, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. And I would think that having your human design information would be helpful for whatever this is, whatever happens to help you move through it or take advantage of it or do whatever is for your highest good and everyone else's, hopefully.
Yes, definitely. And there is some teachings that say in a few years, 2027, that there may be another type, that energy type that is evolving, that we're not changing. When you have your design, it's who you are through this lifetime. But that there will be perhaps some other energy type that is revealed, and um another way for our energy to operate. So it's going to be an interesting few years, and human design, I hope, can be a tool for some folks to really enjoy the exploration that we're at right now.
Exactly. That's fantastic. Well, Christy, where can people find out more about you and how to get a reading and what else you offer, workshops, one-to-ones,
Yeah.
etc.?
Thank you. Folks can visit my new website, hdwithchristi.com, to get a free chart. I do have that available. And I've got a Facebook community called Christie's Human Design and Self Care Community. And that's where I announce events. Folks can also sign up for my emails, and can find more information about my books. My other website is christyhsullivan.com, but both go to eventually the human design site. And so I hope folks will reach out and connect.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Do you have any parting words for us today?
I think just with that last note, we are in very interesting times right now, and just tuning into your energy, tuning into your self care. I call it energy management, energy hygiene, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
It's really important that be part of your day to day self care, part of um, optimizing who you are, and helping you to thrive in this day and age. Thanks so much.
exactly. Thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed this conversation. It really is a lot about self-care, isn't it? It's so important.
Yes,
Awesome. Great message.
thank you.
Thank you again for being here, and I will talk to you again soon, okay?
Great.
Okay. Bye for now.